This is why you should never sleep in your car. 2 years ago, a man was driving 2 hours home after a family reunion, and it started to get dark outside. The road he was driving on was dense with trees and bushes, and it looked like something out of a horror movie. About an hour into his drive, the man got really tired, and he decided to pull off the road into some bushes and sleep. About 30 minutes after the man fell asleep, he woke up to the sound of someone scratching his car window. He looked around for a bit, but the noise stopped. He then went back to bed. He again woke up an hour later to the same sound, and as he looked around, he caught a glimpse of something running away into the bushes. The man thought it would be a good idea to leave, so he started his car and drove around the near corner. As the man turned the corner, he saw another car parked in the bushes to the side of the road. And as the man slowed down to get a better look, he saw a man in his rearview mirror sprinting towards his car yelling curse words at him. He then stepped on the gas and drove away. Moral of the story, don't sleep in your car.
Here's why you should never turn your Snapchat location on. One night, a girl was home alone sitting in her bedroom watching TV when she got a notification on her phone. She opened her Snapchat to find a photo of Max, a strange lonely boy at school who had asked for her Snapchat a few days before. In the Snapchat, Max was grinning very creepily. The text read, "Are you alone?" She was about to block him when she received another chat from Max that said, "You live on Moorhead Lane, right?" As soon as she opened it, she heard a tapping on her window. It was Max. He was staring directly at her with a disturbing grin on his face. She screamed before shutting the blinds and calling the police. But when they arrived, they said there was no one on the property and he must have ran away. The girl was haunted by Max, but eventually she went to sleep. She woke up the next morning to find that she had received another Snapchat from Max. It was of her in her bed sleeping, taken 3 hours ago.
This story's called Help Me. A Macedonian family had been travelling through America. After being out late one night, their little girl curls up in the booth of a restaurant and falls asleep. She later wakes up in the back seat of the car. Still dazed and confused, she sees them pull into a doctor's clinic. While in the doctor's, the girl struggles to understand anything that's being said. The woman turns and says, "Where's the usual doctor?" And calmly, the doctor turns and says, "Well, I'm filling in today." Angry, the mother says, "Well, my daughter's sick and I think she's got food poisoning." When he talks to the girl in English, he doesn't get a response. The mother says she only speaks Macedonian, and the doctor turns and says "Dobro" in Macedonian. The girl's eyes light up. He leans down and says, "Are you okay? Have they hurt you yet?" The girl says, "No, but that's not my mum. I'm so scared." He looks at the mum who's confused and says, "I'll have to examine her." As she lays on the table, he says, "I'm a policeman, sweetie. These people have drugged you. They've also taken my daughter and I need you to go with them so I can find her." She hops down from the bed and in total fear she leaves with the woman.
It's what she finds in the kitchen that's really scary. In the early 90s, a young girl was sleeping in her mom's bed when she suddenly woke up for no reason. She looked at her door and she saw her very affectionate cat kind of meowing down the hall as if someone was coming up to pet it, but she was next to her mom and they were the only ones in the house. The girl shakes her mom awake and points to the cat just as a man is walking past the door and disappears into the room across the hall. Before the man could come back out and find them, they both jump out the window, run across the street, and call the police. When the police arrive, the guy is nowhere to be found, but they do discover that the front door was unlocked, so that had to be the way he got in and out. But the mother swears up and down that she locked that door before she went to bed. A week later, the mother's cleaning their kitchen and she opens up the water heater closet where she finds this notebook that inside is their names and pictures of them in it, along with a pair of surgical gloves. Which means someone had snuck in at some point, was living in that closet spying on them, and then walking around their house at night.
This is the creepy story of the missing bride. So a young couple just got married. They decide to hold the reception at their grandmother's house with their family and friends. After the reception, they decide to play hide and seek. So the groom covered his eyes and counted to 100. Everyone ran out of the room trying to find a place to hide. After a while, the groom found everyone except his beautiful bride. She was nowhere to be found. Everyone started calling her name and looking for her. After a while, they gave up. They assumed she ran away and left her husband. Weeks went by and no sign of her. The husband accepted the fact that his wife left him. A few years later, the cleaning lady was dusting the attic when she came across an old trunk. Out of curiosity, she opened the trunk and found the corpse of a young woman still in her bridal gown. She was the missing bride.
The picture behind me might look like a normal photo, but it's actually one of the most sinister, real-life haunted photos in history. Taken by a professional photographer in 1972 as guests arrived for a wedding, everything in this picture looks happy and normal. But if you take a closer look at the man standing in black, you'll see something odd. You can actually see somebody in white crouching behind the man. All four of the people in the picture said that there was no one behind them when it was taken. The photographer said the same thing and that it would be impossible for someone to crouch behind them without him seeing them. This is a better picture where you can actually see the guy's legs, and then in the top you can see his eyes. The picture was even examined by police photographers and they confirmed that it was genuine.
This is why you should always make sure you're home alone. One day, 2 police officers are sitting in their car waiting for their next call. They pull over a couple cars, but nothing unusual. A couple hours later, they get a call saying a woman feels like there is somebody in her house and she is hiding. The police, thinking it's some sort of home invasion, begin to rush to the scene. They pull up to the house and notice all of their lights are off and the doors are closed. The police begin to try and open the door, but the door is locked. They decided it'd be quicker if they just bust a window and enter the scene. They busted the window and begin searching. One officer says, "I'll search the left of the house and you search the right," and they both agree. The officer on the right finds a bathroom door that is cracked, and as he's opening it, he hears scratching and a faint whispering in the bedroom. He stops what he's doing and opens the door to the room. He pulls out his weapon and aims it at the closet and said, "Whoever's in there, come out now." He opens the door and finds nothing. At the same time, the officer to the left says, "I found her, the house is clear."
This is the abandoned mine footage that no one can explain. In 2013, a mine explorer found the entrance to this abandoned mine and decided to go take a look around. He decides to film his experience and upload it to his YouTube channel, where he has hundreds of other videos of him exploring mines. But he never references ghosts or paranormal activity until this video. As soon as he steps in, he tells the camera that he has a very unsettling feeling about being there. He's not sure if he should keep going, but he does. Everything appears to be normal until he gets to this section in the mine where there's chains hanging from the ceiling. He starts to hear something in the back of the tunnel, so he pulls out his flashlight and shines it. And he sees a single chain swinging, and it shouldn't be because there's no wind and he's all alone. And you can tell he's scared by the way he starts talking. Although by now he's totally freaked out, but he wants to know what's causing the chain to swing, so he goes further and further into the mine until he hears something. He hears people whispering in every direction, and he immediately runs out.
This is the scary story about Christmas morning. It was Christmas Eve, and a girl named Jessica was in bed. She couldn't fall asleep because she was so excited for Christmas. As she laid in her bed, she heard a noise downstairs. Thinking it might be Santa, Jessica tiptoed out of bed and went downstairs. When she got downstairs, she saw Santa, or so she thought. Jessica said, "Santa, is that you?" But when Santa turned around, Jessica noticed that it was just a random guy dressed as Santa. But before she had time to do anything, the man jumped on Jessica. The next morning, Jessica's parents woke up and went downstairs. They then went into the living room and froze in horror at what they saw. They saw Jessica's severed head on the top of the tree, and her headless body was on the floor, wrapped in wrapping paper, with a note next to it that said, "We had a lot of fun last night. I'll be back next year."